Hello everyone, my name is Marissa Redenbaugh and I'm your Juvenile Services Librarian here at the Lebanon Public Library. We're so glad to have you today and I'll be here reading stories from this week's theme, Apples. Afterwards, Racheal will come on and explain the craft to you. Remember, you can pick up the craft curbside or you can do a downloadable version from online. The first book we're going to be reading today is called Fall with Lily and Milo, written by Pauline. Fall is here. Lily and Milo are going exploring in the woods. What will they take to carry everything they find? Milo's little cart, a wicker basket, or a suitcase? What does Lily choose? What does Milo choose? Lily chooses the wicker basket, and Milo takes his cart. Milo looks through the window outside. It has started to rain. What should Lily and Milo wear? A raincoat or a bathing suit? Rubber boots or flip-flops? Lily and Milo wear their raincoats and boots. That's good, because now it is raining hard. The wind is blowing the leaves from the trees. Look, one tree is almost completely bare. The rain has stopped. The sun is shining. Hey, what's that? Milo asks. He points to the fence. That is a spider web, says Lily. But where is the little spider? Do you see the spider? Lily and Milo find some fruit trees. Milo wants to pick up some apples. This is a funny apple, says Milo. That's not an apple, Lily laughs. That's a pear. What is crawling between the apples and pears? A little hedgehog. He lives in a pile of leaves, and the earthworm lives under the ground. Lily finds a snail. Look, he has eyes on little stalks, says Lily. And do you know where the snail lives? In the little house on his back. And there is a squirrel, Milo points. And there is another one. Hop, hop. The squirrels jump from branch to branch. Hoo, hoo. Do you hear that? Lily asks softly. There is an owl. Look, Milo, acorns and pine cones, Lily cheers. She puts some in her basket. Milo finds a long stick. He looks for acorns and pine cones too. Will you help him? Lily sees red mushrooms with white spots. They are so pretty. Look, Milo. But there are more mushrooms in the woods. We can't pick mushrooms, says Lily. They have to stay in the woods. Lily and Milo can bring some leaves home. Lily chooses 3 beautiful leaves. Milo can't choose. All the fall leaves are beautiful. Which leaves would you choose? I think I like the red and the orange ones the best. Back home, Lily puts the nuts, leaves, and pine cones in a dish. She puts her fruit in a bowl. Milo, will you put your things on the table too? Asks Lily. Milo? Hey, where is Milo? Oh, there you are, says Lily. I brought all the leaves, Milo calls cheerfully, and my new friends from the forest. Now it feels a little like fall inside too. The end. Lily and Milo sure did have a lot of fun, and I wonder if you noticed that they picked up some apples along their way. Apples weren't always as common as they are now, and people certainly couldn't go to the grocery store to find them. So the next book we'll read is about a man called Johnny Appleseed. It's called Seed by Seed by Esme Codell. Illustrations by Lynn Ray Perkins. And this one is nonfiction, so that means this is a true story. When we look out of our windows, what do we see? Tall buildings, stores, and parking lots, buses and cars speeding by, red lights and green lights and yellow lights and white lights. Our country is hard and electrical and moving, but it was not always this way. Once it was a tangle, a tangle, a tangle of roots and branches and wide tree trunks. Once you could not hear the engines of airplanes in the sky or the sounds of phones ringing. Maybe you could catch the creaking of a wagon wheel straining against the ruts in the road or the fall of an axe against wood. The bark of a dog, the crackle of a campfire, the chattering of squirrels, the pecking of a sapsucker, the slapping of water against a riverbank, or the sound of the play of leaves turning silver, gray, green in the breeze, a shh, 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 like whispered secrets for the bees to carry off. The moon shone on the snow until the land glowed like a pearl. The stars glinted in the sky, and the candles flickered from their lamps. And in this quiet, tree-bough tangled world, the world before the cement was poured and the lights turned on, there lived a man of his time, Johnny Chapman, better known as Johnny Appleseed. The tales of Johnny Appleseed are 3 parts legend, 1 part fact, stories we're not sure are true. But the man, Johnny Chapman, was real. He was born on September 26, 1774, in Massachusetts. He never drove a car or sent a basketball flying through a hoop. He never acted in front of a camera. He never wore a medal. He grew apples and offered them to the pioneers headed west. But wait, so what? A farmer. Why should we remember him today, more than 200 years later, and call him a hero? I will whisper the answer to you. A secret silver gray green. He lived by example. And of the many footsteps he took across the frontier in his bare and knobby feet, he left 5 for us to fill. Use what you have, share what you have, respect nature, try to make peace where there is war. You can reach your destination by taking small steps. No one is certain why he began his work of planting apple trees. He claimed that spirits and angels told him to be a messenger of peace and to grace the way to the west with an offering of fruit. What we do know is that by doing the same small act of planting seeds every day, Johnny Appleseed changed the landscape of our nation, seed by seed, deed by deed. What examples did he plant for us? Most apples around the start of the 19th century were grown for making cider. John Chapman started his nurseries of apple trees by obtaining apple seeds from owners of cider presses in western Pennsylvania, who were just going to throw the seeds away. Chapman dressed in coffee and potato sacks or wore used clothing that was given to him by people trading for his trees. Some say he carried his tin cooking pot on his head like a hat. He had a style all on his own. Chapman was rich in coin and rich in friends. He sold and traded trees to pioneers, but if a person could not afford them, Chapman would still allow that person to take saplings and pay when and if he or she was able. Chapman had 11 brothers and sisters, and they helped one another out when they could. Besides his love of apples, Chapman also had a strong affection for reading, especially books by a religious man named Emanuel Swedenborg, who preached love, tolerance, and faith. It is said that John Chapman used his open shirt as a pouch to carry books. It is also said that he ripped books into chapters in order to circulate them between settlers. He liked to gather children and their families around him and delight them with a story time. News right fresh from heaven. In this way, he was the frontier's first librarian. John Chapman lived most of his life outdoors. He was a vegetarian and also had a vast knowledge of herbs and their uses. Besides planting apples, John Chapman liked to plant fennel, a bulb that smells strongly of licorice, and that he believed had medicinal powers. In some parts of the country, this fast-spreading plant is still called Johnnyweed. It is said that he lived in peace with the animals. Legend has it that he released a wolf from a trap, and for a long time afterward, the wolf tamely followed him wherever he went. Once he slept at one end of a log with a bear and her cub at the other. Another time, when he noticed that his campfire was singeing the wings of mosquitoes, he doused the flames in order to save the insects. When he saw that an animal was being abused, he would buy that animal, nurse it back to health, and find it a good home. The only animal he was known to have killed was a rattlesnake. Though he acted in self-defense, he was said to have always felt badly for taking that life. The Native Americans respected him for his spiritual bond with his surroundings, his kinship with all that grew and lived. John Chapman moved freely between Native American and pioneer communities, and he was trusted by both. He warned each side of the other's impending attack, usually by walking through a room and reciting a mysterious rhyme. John Chapman journeyed hundreds of miles across state lines on his own 2 feet or by canoe on the waterways, planting and maintaining his tree nurseries over 100,000 square miles. His trees flowered and fruited across the Ohio River Valley, and they were shared and carried off to homesteads far and wide. He grew so many apple trees that chances are any apple you eat today is from a descendant of a tree planted by Johnny Appleseed. After catching pneumonia during an especially cold winter in 1845, John Chapman passed away. His sweet spirit lives on in the apples we eat and in the seeds we plant to make our country and our world a better place. Seed by seed, deed by deed, Johnny Appleseed changed the landscape of a nation. And now it's your turn. One small deed every day. What seed will you plant? The end. I think it was so nice to be able to learn about someone who really made a difference in his community, especially during these uncertain times. I hope you can take a time to look around and see how you can help those around you. The next book we're going to be reading is called Hungry Bunny by Claudia Ruda. Here I come, Grr, grr. Can you hear my tumble rumble? I'm one hungry bunny. Grr, grr. It's time to reach for a red, delicious, and hard to reach apple. Maybe you could help? Could you please shake the book so the apples fall down? We're gonna shake, 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 shake. But not the leaves. Could you blow them away? That's much better. Thank you. Oh no, my scarf has blown away too. It's stuck in the book. Oh look, here it is. And I'm still hungry. Could you help me grab my scarf? Grab it. Will you place the scarf here for me and hold it tight? I can use it to climb up the tree and pick those tasty apples. Oh, there he goes. Just one more. Great teamwork. I got them all. Can you hang on to that scarf for me? Whoops, I'm running late. What an uphill battle. Wait a minute. Why am I going uphill? We can fix that. Can you tilt the book for me? Easy as pie. Now my wheels are turning. Why don't we have even more fun? Would you rock the book back and forth? Zoe, keep going and get ready to turn, turn. Uh-oh, get ready to tumble. Oops, I guess I upset the apple cart. Where are all the apples? Here they are. I'll just pick these up. On the road again. But what's this? Hey, I think I'm going to need some help. Can you use my scarf to make a bridge? Do you think you'll walk across now? Perfect. Thank you. I'm at the end of my rope. Good thing I'm almost home. I'm stuck. Would you give me a little push, please? Pop! Right on time for Mom's apple pie. Not a bad apple in the bunch. Yum. We saved a piece for you. The end. I really liked that one. That one was very sweet. The next book we're going to be reading is called Apple Harvest. And this is also a nonfiction book, so this is true and supposed to be informational and help you learn more about apples. Fall is here. It's fall. Cool breezes blow through the apple orchard trees. Red apples hang down from the woody branches. The ripe apples are ready to be picked. Fall is harvest time. Picking apples. Farmers pick the apples by hand. Workers sort the apples by flavor. The apples are put into bags for shoppers to buy. Fun with apples. Apples make fun treats. Crisp caramel apples are sticky and sweet. Hot apple cider warms you up on a cold day. Apple slices fill the inside of apple pies. Other signs of fall. The apple harvest has begun. What are the other signs that it's fall? These are resources for if you want to read more about what we learned in this book. Our last book we'll be reading today is called Little Apple Goat by Caroline Jane Church. And this one is not true. Down on the farm there lived a little goat. She was quite an ordinary goat. Ordinary in every way. In every way, that is, except one. She had quite unusual eating habits. While most goats are happy to chew on last week's leftovers or Wednesday's washing, Little Apple Goat preferred apples and pears and cherries. Every autumn, Little Apple Goat spent happy days in the orchard waiting for a crunchy apple, a rosy pear, or a juicy cherry to fall. Plop! When evening came, Little Apple Goat would trot home to her meadow, and on the way she would send a shower of pits and seeds over the hedge. Plippity-plip! Day after day, year after year, Little Apple Goat's pits and seeds flew over the hedge. On one particular autumn day, a breeze began to blow. The breezy afternoon became a blustery evening, and the blustery evening blew into a stormy night. The animals were very scared indeed. They huddled close together inside the barn while the wind howled all night long. In the morning, Little Apple Goat rushed straight to the orchard. The storm had toppled every single tree. The orchard that Little Apple Goat loved so much was gone. All the animals were very sad when the farmer came to take the logs away. The farm just won't be the same without the orchard, so they said. As autumn turned to winter, Little Apple Goat watched smoke curl from the farmhouse chimney. At least the logs will keep the farmer warm, she thought. At last, spring came. One day, Little Apple Goat noticed something bright and flowery peeking over the top of the hedge. Blossoms! She thought as she continued on her way. And then one autumn, the blossoms were gone. Now fruit hung from the branches. Little Apple Goat could hardly believe it. The animals were so happy to have a new orchard. How did this happen? Who could have planted it, they wondered. But you know who, don't you? Plippity-plip-plop. All that time that Little Apple Goat was spitting her seeds and her pits from the other fruits over the hedge, she was really using them to plant her new orchard. Well, that's all the books we have for today, and I hope you enjoyed them. Next up will be Racheal, and she'll be describing the craft to you.
Hi friends, so for this week's curbside craft, we are making an apple core out of popsicle sticks. So in your curbside bag, you will get 3 popsicle sticks, a black sheet of paper, a little tiny brown stem, and a green sheet of paper. With your green sheet of paper, you will use some of it to use a half circle, the other piece to use another half circle, and then with your leftover green sheet, you can use it to make a leaf. We're making a green apple this time. So the first thing you'll do is you'll get your 3 popsicle sticks and you'll line them up, and then you can either try to glue them together, or if you want to tape them on the back, and then you'll have them no tape on the front. But if tape works better, you could tape it on the back. But what I did is I glued, when I cut out my half circle for the top and the bottom, I lined up the 3 popsicle sticks and I glued it to each of the green half circles so that they were at the top of the popsicle sticks and the bottom. And then it stuck together pretty well. And then for the stem, I just glued it on the back so it's popping up. And then I glued my leaf on here. And then with my little black sheet, I cut out some seed shapes. Now, apple seeds aren't all perfect. They don't all look alike. So it's okay to have any shape of seed you want. They can be a little crooked. They can have jagged edges. It doesn't have to be perfectly round, and it doesn't have to be a perfect teardrop seed shape. Whatever you can do is fine. And then I just chose to glue 4 of them on, but you can do as many as you can get out of your little black sheet. So that's the curbside craft that you can get if you call to order books. You can also request a curbside craft. For your printable craft, if you aren't able to make it to pick up the curbside craft, that's okay. We've got a printable craft. So you will get a printable sheet that looks like this, kind of looks like a hamburger, and then a printable sheet that looks like this, and it already has the teardrop seeds for you. But you don't have to use them. You could always draw your own, and if you want to make them all look a little bit different. So what I did is I cut out the 3 strips here and the top and the bottom of the apple. And I did the same thing that I did with the popsicle sticks. I just glued each of the strips onto the top and the bottom, kind of far apart so you can see the apple core, so it looks like you've eaten some of the apple. And then, just like I did with the other one, I glued the stem and the leaf on the back. I colored everything, and then I put all my seeds on there, as many as I wanted. And then that was my printable craft. So those are your 2 crafts for the week, and we hope you enjoyed story time, and we'll see you next time.